Hey guys, Rob from Georgia here with you, aka VHS82 apostrophe, with episode 47, man. Second to the last one. And aside from possibly a wrap-up, we are heading towards the final end stretch of year 2 of Space 1999. This one entitled, episode 47, of course, The Immunity Syndrome. Compliments of Bob Brooks directing, but Johnny Byrne will write the last two. Of course, he also and 4 or 5 other entries into Space 1999 catalog, and an excellent writer. And this one is also well written and well directed. This was one of the ones. This is definitely at the top of the heap of year 2. It's a pretty strong episode. First aired October 29th, 1977. It was good, man. It was a solid episode. I watched this yesterday. And basically, what you have here is, yet again, one more promising planet. And as they send a team, Koenig, he's off with one party, and Tony's off with his buddy, and Alan is off with his buddy, and Tony and his buddy are the first ones to run afoul of seemingly some type of alien entity, something. And when Tony's buddy, or I think Tony he's off looking at something, and his buddy is the one who walks or is confronted with it, and he is overwhelmed with the brilliance of it, and in fact he starts to turn, not for the better, for the worse. And he becomes extremely, almost immediately violent. And when Tony comes onto the scene, he immediately attacks Tony, and Tony, out of self-defense, in the end kills him. But then he too is overcome by this alien entity, and he too starts to become a bit crazy. And so he basically runs off. And then Alan and his buddy, they suddenly find this underground structure, and there seems to be a way in, but it happens to be solar operated, so they've got to wait for this thing to, I guess, be up enough power or whatever in order to gain an entrance. Well, all this just starts to happen. Koenig eventually they find Tony. And in an attempt to get Tony back to Moonbase Alpha, it's like everything about this planet that was initially perfect begins to turn on them very quick. The environment, the food becomes poisonous, the water becomes poisonous, the atmosphere begins to have this ability of just corroding the eagles in a way that keeps Koenig from getting off the planet. And ultimately the ship begins to break down internally, and then they just crash, and they're stranded on this planet. And all of a sudden, what seemed to be absolutely perfect, a Eden, if you will, which was the original title, I think, of this one, was The Face of Eden, which I don't know if that would have been a better title than The Immunity Syndrome. That does, I don't know, you got to really work hard to make that make real sense. I don't know, I was thinking like maybe a gift of aggression almost fits better than the immunity syndrome. But they are able to basically rig up something that is non-metal, but can act as a means of communicating, sending communication to Moonbase Alpha, where Helena and Maya receive it. But all they're able to get is a partial message, which gives enough of what is going down that they are stranded and there is nothing they can do. Ultimately, though, this story really starts to pick up some interesting aspects when they're able to gain entry into this underground structure. They find almost kind of like, in a way, like what's that Planet of the Vampires, not Lamberto, Mario Bava's film, Planet of the Vampires. They find, this, it's almost kind of like a derelict craft in a way, and when they gain interest, they find this skeletal remains of what looks to be maybe the captain of the ship or whatever, and they are able to access some of the data computer data and stuff, and they're given basically a sort of diary of effect, telling them basically exactly what's going on. The planet's perfect, the planet is awesome, but this alien entity is sort of taken up residence, and this thing seemingly inadvertently turns everything inward, outward, crazy, just throws everything out of balance, and is unable to communicate with life forms in a way that you would, almost in a way that really does make sense. If you are deep space exploration, you're not just going to run into similar species necessarily or have easy communication. There is going to be this foreign element that you are going to have to conquer, or it is going to be to your demise. And in this case, anything pretty much who has run pathways with this thing has probably suffered a similar fate because of the inability to communicate. And that is a strong message in here, is the need, the importance of good communication and understanding what we're saying to one another. It is an interesting running theme throughout this. But ultimately in the end, man, they realize that this derelict craft, this captain of this ship, they have actually constructed this type of suit in hopes of being able to protect themselves from this alien and try to break the communication barrier. And of course, they never get a chance to. I think there's one defect of the suit. The shielding around the face doesn't protect the eyes well enough, and so they make readjustments to this. And in the last sort of, Koenig finds this alien and bravely and courageously will gain a moment with it to try to communicate. And it's seemingly rough at first, but then suddenly it is broken, or it is overcome, and communication is finally established. In all the lead up to that, Helena and Maya do find an ingenious way of getting down on the planet with a glider, which is a new craft that we are seeing. So new miniatures, everything still looks, everything looks great in this episode. But they're able to get down there and be of assistance and help with all of this leading up to the finale. So so everything really does make sense, and it's well written and it's well done, and it does beg a lot of questions about just if there are things out there, how hard is it to overcome something like communication? And it's just, it's interesting what this alien entity was seemingly doing without realizing what it was doing. It wasn't, I think if I remember right, it wasn't even aware that it was engaging with life forms, and therefore it was killing life forms. And this is one of the things that will be sort of overcome between Koenig and this alien entity, is this alien is guilty of basically killing. And when it realizes this, and it realizes who Koenig is, in terms of their, the life that they have, there's sort of a reconciliation and an understanding with this alien. And so he is able and willing to undo some of the damage. I don't think all of it is able to be undone, but Tony is healed, and things are sort of put back into their proper place in order for them to ultimately get off the planet safely. And so it does, I had a weird thought, this presence of this alien, it's almost, the original title was The Face of Eden, and it's seemingly there's some implications there with that, and it got me to thinking, if you just theoretically take Eden as a real place, and if we, even in our fallen state, could gain entrance somehow and step into what was a perfected place, at least initially in the beginning, a perfected place, what kind of damage would we do just by our fallenness, by stepping into a place such as this? What would we bring to that? Would we inadvertently destroy that which is perfect? Like this alien entity that is seemingly perfect, lays waste to everything around it, inadvertently, without meaning it, without the intention or the purpose, and yet it still does it. And so it was, a pretty interestingly deep episode for the end stretch. So this is it, man. So we got the Dorgans, last one, and we are another one given by Johnny Byrne. I think Tom Clegg directs that one, and will see us out. And then we'll have to see about, I know there's a bit of a conclusion written here in the book by John Kenneth Muir, and I may just do one last one as a wrap-up before we tip our hats to what was, I think, a pretty excellent 2-year run. It's as good as some of these latter episodes were. It's really kind of surprising that they weren't able to get a third year. And maybe it's better they didn't. I don't know. But it's really kind of too bad that they didn't. 3 years would have been nice. Instead, what we get is 2. And a superior year 1. And, in the end, I think not a terribly too bad year 2 when all is said and done. I keep reading and hearing that this last final episode is pretty amazing. So we will see next week with that. With episode 48, the last one is coming down the pike in about a week. As always, go Bills.